Smooth 98.1. This is Freshly Pressed. We're looking at the news stories making the headlines across the country. And as always, we love it when you are part of the conversation. Hey, let us know what your thoughts are. WhatsApp number is 0809 4440981. You can also tweet at smooth981. And we're streaming live on our YouTube channel as well. It's Smooth981 on YouTube. So don't forget to subscribe. You can post a comment on there as well. Our analysts are in this morning. We have Lakunle and Devoe joining us. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning,
Morning, Zibby.
President Zibby.
Okay.
Good morning, Lagos. And I hope you guys will take care of the Lagos Island till Friday when we come back.
We will try.
Yes. Morning, Zibby. Morning,
Morning.
Lagos. Morning, world. Cool. Interest rates at NLC protests.
All right. Well, again, I'll let you know how you can get your thoughts across. 0809 4440981. That's the WhatsApp number. And if you're tweeting via X, the hashtag is freshlypressed981. First headline comes from Vanguard. The Central Bank of Nigeria has raised its benchmark interest rate to 22.75%. Devoe? All right, while we wait for Devoe to sort out the connection, Lakunle, let's go on to the next headline, and I'm going to give you this one. 12 years after, Tinubu adopts Orosanye report, merges agencies.
Okay, so we know that
Can you hear me?
we've always said that for a while that at some point in time, we're going to take some very hard decisions. This report, that as a result of a commission that was set up by the administration of President Jonathan in 2011, late 2011, submitted this report in 2012. And the big recommendation was that we need to make the government smaller and more effective. And to that effect, it made sweeping recommendations across board that several government agencies that existed should have been merged or should cease to exist, and so on and so forth. Now, we've had 12 years has gone by, 2 administrations have gone by, and largely nothing has been done to this effect. So this government is taking one of those hard decisions that all of us always agreed that Nigeria needed to make. One of them was the subsidy. Another one is this Forex thing. Now we're here. Some people are saying that we are taking all decisions too quickly or that we shouldn't take them concurrently. But there is no time that is good enough for us to take them. So this story tells us that it's a start. It's not like they are implementing the entire report, from my understanding. They are starting with 29 government agencies which will be merged, and 4 agencies will be located and subsumed. They've listed in this report, and from other places where I've read, a few of these agencies that are going to be merged are particularly of interest to me. I will just quickly speak to maybe 1 or 2 of them. One of them is the emerging of NIPC and NEPC, Nigeria Investment Promotion Commission and Nigeria Export Promotion Council. So one would then imagine what goes on in the head of people in charge of affairs of this country since independence. That somebody just wakes up, has an idea, does not review what is on ground, and then creates a new one. And then the old one continues to exist parallel to the old one. So you have 2 agencies functioning or struggling to function, solving the same problem. Another example here is Radio Nigeria and Voice of Nigeria. You ask yourself, there are radio stations, 2 of them, essentially doing the same things, but we have created them separately, and they've run in this country for more than 40 years, and nobody has thought that, hey, what are we doing here? Now, another one, a third one, which is rather interesting, is they asked for the scrapping of Center for Management Development, CMD. I know for a fact the CMD facility in Lagos, what it cost, just about 6 years ago or so, they actually recreated a CMD in Abuja, created an entirely new one in Abuja. The Lagos one is there, still there on your way to about the toll gate in Lagos. So what happens to those facilities when you scrap this facility, right? Nobody is speaking to that yet. And then the last one that I will speak to in this is the matter of the University of the Nigerian Army and the one of the Nigerian Air Force. It now says they will be subsumed into Nigerian Defense Academy. Now, what then happens? So the students of this Nigerian Army University and the Air Force Institute for Technology, I think that's the name or something. How their status changed to what? Do they then become regular cadets or regular trained cadets of the Nigerian Army or Nigerian military? So there are many losers, but it's okay. The fear of people, however, then is that so when these mergers occur, what happens to the personnel? Definitely, people are going to have to go because you cannot have two director of finances when you have two agencies that have director of finances separate. One of them would have to go. You cannot have two director generals. Another one quickly, NACA, Nigerian AIDS Control Agency, is now being subsumed into the NCDC, which is a perfect thing to have been done. Yeah, the time HIV/AIDS became big that we needed the solution, it was a reasonable thing to start an agency for the period, and I think it should have long gone. But now it's going into NCDC. I think that's a perfect one. So the job losses, how are we going to manage it? Or are we going to keep these people together? I suggest that the bullets that we are biting here is such that if you are going to let people go, government then will need to find money to pay off the people you are letting go, right? And it's going to be substantial, and the money has to come from somewhere because it's not just going to be thank you, good night. Something has to go with when you're asking these people to go. Then the facilities that the ones you are scrapping and leaving behind, well, what is the plan for them so that it does not become what the Federal Secretariat in Lagos today has become? So it's a difficult call to make, but it's good that we are making it. And we need to continue to make these hard choices. It's going to be difficult. Nobody's going to say that it's going to be easy. It's going to be difficult in terms of the job losses, in terms of relocation of people and all that. But on the bigger scheme, on the bigger scale, it is important that we take these steps.
All right, thank you, Lakunle. Let's go on to the messages. eBay from Abuja says, excellent move by the president to begin the implementation of the Orosai report. If only governments in the past had started implementations like this, even if in bits, by now we would have gone a long way. Anyways, it's better late than never. Tony from Ijesha, wrong number. Okay, let's move on to the next headline. Devoe, CBN raises interest rates to 22.75%, and this one comes from Vanguard.
Right. Right. Yes, that's great. Um, I guess many people, it's a wash in the media over how the CBN, as the Monetary Policy Authority, held in a long time the monetary policy meeting, which usually should take place every quarter. However, this administration has, in their wisdom, um, what I say, delayed this meeting for reasons best known to them. I think they were working on their toes, trying to ensure that they monitored the situation as well as did the needful to be able to try and bring some kind of stability to economic or currency issues, as we all know are staring at everybody in the face, which at the top of the list is the FX crisis. Now, with this meeting, I think the CBN governor spoke in full. He highlighted a lot of issues that were affecting the nation, that dogged the nation from the last administration in terms of money that was filtered away. He spoke about, apart from what do you call it, the ways and means that has been largely spoken about. He also spoke about 10 trillion intervention fund that needs to be accounted for. That obviously we're not seeing the injection into the economy. He also spoke about $23 billion that was moved via Binance, which some people debate is a distraction because that was just a crypto platform. Um, and that's what crypto does. Crypto can do evil, crypto can do good. What it's established is to move funds without issues. So he spoke on many areas, and at the top of this, they made some decisions, right? Um, uh, they raised the MPR, that's the monetary policy rate, was raised from 18.75 at this last position to about 22.75. Now, what that simply means is banks collect their money at that rate, and they can lend at about 27 to about 30%. So it means interest rates are going up. Secondly, cash reserve ratio, that's a CRR. I'm just trying to break this down because I know this can be a lot of jabber jabbers. Cash reserve ratio is the amount that banks keep with the central bank, just as a risk factor to ensure that if anything happens, they still have cash in place. Now they're raising it from 32.5 to about 45%. Many people debate that and say, hey, you're taking from the money I would use to trade. So how do you expect me to make money? But liquidity, they kept at 30%. Now, the objective in all these decisions was to check inflation. Okay, as you can see, MBC has put inflation at around 27, 29%, whereas on various sectorial points of view, e.g., food, e.g., petroleum products or technical, you can see the real inflation coming to you at about 35 to about 60%, depending on what you're talking about. And generally, this has been doused, or this has been exacerbated by the FX crisis, which is the FX supply crisis, which has led to, in some debates, they call it artificial scarcity. Some call it real scarcity. When you talk about Nigerians' earning capacity has been dampened. Likewise, some people have taken opportunity, especially governors, once money is shared, to chase and speculators to chase the dollar. So that
That's speculation,
that
Devoe.
yeah, yes, that's what I'm saying. That's speculation. So that drives that makes
I
extremely
mean, what you stated is not exactly known as facts with regards to the governors. You're
governance.
speculating.
Well, I mean, it's okay. Well, we'll take another time and break that down. But the thing is that that has done it is made it completely impossible. You can't even get dollar in the banks, or if you've even put money down, they'll give you 1/10 of what you've requested for. So what that simply does, it drives prices on everything because Nigeria is still a high import dependent nation. Hence, the CBN said some of these measures were meant to check exchange pressures. Now, all in all, right, we ask about what is the impact of these monetary policies, right? Some will debate, oh, that they've done something. But in reality, if you do understand economics, monetary policy impact, the sensitivity is only when the economy is advanced and your checks and balances are in place. In an unstructured economy like Nigeria, where a lot of things go below the radar, which is that bit you're disturbing me about the governors, what it means is that if you don't fix the fiscal side of things, that's the finance ministry. That is where you now begin to see the impact of the decisions that are taken. Monetary policy is like pruning, shaving your hair. Do you understand? But the fiscal aspect is the real washing of the body, meaning what is the roadmap to Nigeria getting out of its economic woes? One, yes, you started paying back some FX obligation. That is a fiscal move. What about the size of government? As Lakunle explained, you're pruning down, even though it's not the full reports. They've already said they're not going to sack staff. So in a way, even if 4 buildings come into one and you change the name, does that change the amount of money that is in motion? Because you still have the same amount of staff. Three, leakages to our revenue and our income as a nation. The 400 to 500,000 barrels that are being lost on a daily basis. When are you going to catch those ghosts and ensure that that money gets back to the Federation accounts? Fourthly, distribution of even the ones that get here. All these palliatives, temporary palliatives that the NLC and the TUC and majorly most of the unions have been hacking the government about. These are all fiscal measures to I might add between the federal government and the state government, the legislator moving some items from from the exclusive to the concurrent to give states capacity to grow. These are all the issues that would actually get Nigeria out So sometimes when we put larger than life concentration on the CBN, it should not be that way. Ideally, the CBN literally is quiet. CBN doesn't do much in the presence of people. They do it behind the scene, whilst the fiscal authorities stand in front, talk to you, and deal with the issues to ensure that they can get us out. But like I said, we've seen one. It's a Voltron move. The CBN has spoken. We want to hear what the fiscal authorities, that's the coordinating minister of the economy and finance minister, Wale Edu, is going to do to take advantage of these moves that the CBN has done.
All right, let's go on to the messages coming through. JP says the merged organizations will use seniority and skill set to make decisions. They will be paid off as the aim is to reduce expenditure. If a serious team drives this, it will work fine. As per education, it's more of a syllabus merger. Ajayi says adopting the Orosayo report now is better late than never. Agencies like the EFCC, ICPC, CCB should be merged, while the FRSC should be scrapped, while its functions, which is essentially traffic management, should be transferred to the states. And Tonye from Magodo says, unfortunately, with Nigeria and our famous exemplary track record of policy implementation, I see this Orosai report costing Nigeria more than savings. There will be severance packages to pay increases in salaries commensurate with a merged workload for those that remain. I see your messages coming through. We'll continue with the conversation and your messages shortly. Stay with us. This is Freshly Pressed on Smooth 98.1.
So
Your voices are so distant from me. I'm struggling to hear you.
You just showed up, Abby. Were you here? You just showed up. Okay. Are they fine printouts now?
Miriam, you scared me. I'm like, wait, you didn't see my car. I'm like, what the hell?
See, Zibby, I can hear you very clearly now.
I think I didn't shut it when it rained, so some moisture got in. Oh my god. So carry yourself on the What's going on with the key?
Your print is not working anymore. Up till now.
Devoe, do you mind? We're streaming live. And Miriam just walked in. So she's sorting out this stuff. She can't go and start.
No, she can organize it even when she's not here.
Because there was no one here to do it.
Sleeping Beauty is inside there. She's always sleeping.
We're going on.
Now me, you do that one.
And you're listening to the Smooth Breakfast Show.
Lakunle, can you hear us?
Is it better? Lakunle?
Yes, I can hear you. But when you were speaking, it was clear. But you just come out goes.
Oh, okay. Let's go on. It's Freshly Pressed on Smooth 98.1. It's Zibby here with the analysts, of course. Lakunle and Devoe are in, and we are looking at the news stories making the headlines across the country. As always, we want to get your thoughts, so please keep your messages coming. 0809 440 981. That is the WhatsApp number, and you can also catch the live stream on our YouTube channel. You can post a comment on there as well. Let's move on to the next headline, and this one is coming from Premium Times. Senate to probe 30 trillion naira ways and means obtained by Buhari administration, from CBN.
Yes, in a few sessions within the last 2 weeks, many would have seen how the issue of the ways and means debt was being propped up, and basically, I think the Senate President himself. Senate President Akpabio was pointing fingers as to those who were present when this decision to securitize it was taken. And even the last Senate President Lawan came up and said, hey, we all did this together. It's a done deal and it's over with. And they were like, well, okay, fine. But what happened to it? Because obviously some have pointed fingers that the instability in our economy is some of it is attributed to the large indebtedness that came from the ways and means. And when you look at how much instability it has caused, because that 30 trillion would be paid across 9 to 10 years at a rate that if you don't pay, the interest is still mounting. what was this money used for so that we can understand. I mean, Zibby, if I bought you a car and you went outside and realized there was no car, but yet I told you that I used 1 billion to buy the SUV, how would you see that? That's the situation of the Ways and Means securitization. So right now they've created a 9-member committee of senators to look into this matter, to confirm and to unravel, okay, to discover, to dig out where that 30 million went to. But you see, my only issue with this move by the Senate is that, yes, first of all, the Senate needs to take two strokes of the cane, because where were they when this money was being spent? Question number one, because that's their job, to ensure that things don't go under the roof or beneath the sheets while they're there. So apart from those two strokes of the cane, the same Senate also securitized it. So when you securitized, what were you securitizing? Did you ask questions? Okay, let's say the milk has been spilled. Now that they want to dig into finding out where this money went to, okay? Because it's not just about Emefiele. Emefiele was an employee of the federal government. There was a whole organ and system of movement that took place. The last question is this. Nigeria has a history of creating committees to look into matters, and when they produce the white paper, another committee is appointed to look into the white paper, of which another committee will be appointed to take a decision on it, of which another committee until your children graduate from school. And we never find out what really happened to what was being sought after. See, let's stop playing this politics. And what normally happens is that this 30, how much? About 30 trillion, yeah? Is it a case of, if we don't get our own share of that 30 trillion, we will expose you? Is that what really happens in our country? I would like the guests to know, I mean, to give their point of view. Because I've always said it, in Nigeria, as long as you bring brilliant ideas, a 7-point agenda, let's renewed hope agenda, all these brilliant ideas on paper, if you do not catch a rat, if you do not fish out the barracuda and the elephants and the monkeys eating our 30 trillion, and then all the other money that is filtered away, or those snakes that have a way of finding their way inside the national treasury and chopping some bits of the nairas and kobos and dollars and shillings that we have, then we are joking. We will never get out of this problem. So I really do hope that this Senate will do the job. Nigerians, keep a watch eye. Make sure you keep your senators and your House of Rep members on their toes. If you are not sleeping, they shouldn't sleep. If you are hungry, they shouldn't eat.
All right, thanks, Devoe, for that. Let's go on to the next headline, and it comes from Daily Trust. Lakunle, Senate proposes 6-year single term for CBN governor.
So, well, in my opinion, I think that the politics of it is what's at play. I do not ordinarily see what is wrong with having a 10-year period, a 10-year term, split into 2 terms for a governor of the central bank. Why do I say that? Your monetary policies are not things that you should change every other day, every other market day. So if I have a governor who is staying 20 years, for example, I know that policy implementation might go a long way. That's the advantage of that. But then, of course, the queue to want to be governor is getting longer by the day. So one can understand why we want to limit it to 1. On the flip side, people argue about first term and second term across all board, governor, president, that they spend the first term doing a lot of stuff, and the second term, they cruised all through it and nothing gets done. So that if somebody is giving just 1 term, spends all of the 1 term facing the business. That is why I said the politics of the matter is playing out. However, in this same country, we've had CBN governors who stayed, of course, granted I was during the military era, who stayed more than 10 years. Ahmed, the CBN governor, I think I stayed for about 14 or 15 years as CBN governor in that period. I can't remember exact number of years, but it's still quite a number of well. But however, like I always say, if you want to have different results about things, we need to try different things. We've done 5 times, 5-year term for 2 years possible. Now we want to have a different result, so it's okay to try something new. And I think that at this point, the Senate should just be quick and clear about it, so that we don't get to a point where somebody is saying the law was made when I was already 3 years into my tenure. So it should not count for me now. It should count after my next term. So I think that they should be decisive about it. It has passed the second reading, and I think that maybe before the end of March, it should have gone to the presidency for ascension or something. So, and it's interesting that it's a member of the APC, the ruling party, that is championing this amendment. So we want to assume that there will be no opposition to it and it will sail through quickly.
All right, message coming through from AJ. AJ says, Lakunle presented the implementation of the RSI report as another novelty by the president. I think it's happening now because austere measures necessitated it. No past president would have been able to implement the reports earlier on. You cannot absorb all the workers. Some would have to go. It's easier now to merge ministries since boomers are retiring and the Gen Xers are reaching an expiry tenure as civil servants. Toyin says Lakunle is on point concerning the Onrosai report. Abbas says cost will still reduce if they don't let people go in the ministries, Devoe, because overhead cost is different from capital cost and other expenditures to be incurred by ministries and agencies when they remain as they are now. It means we will only be spending on the salaries of the workers. Idimapuza says, I hope President Tinubu's promise to work on Orosai's report is not a distraction from the hunger in the land. I've not seen any details as to how the report would be acted upon. James says, what is the usefulness in 2024 of a report that was written in 2012? What is the full explanation, breakdown, procedure, and consequence of such reports? Everything must be laid bare before any hurries. Okay, let's move on to the next headline, and this headline comes from Daily Trust. Culture Ministry to unveil IDICE program.
Yes, the Ministry of Arts, Culture, and Creative Economy at a recent forum spoke about the fact that they would be launching an investment fund for the creative enterprises. And basically, one of the greatest complaints that have come from that sector, which normally captures the bulk of our youth, those in music, those in arts, those in film, and some of those playing within the digital side of things, is the fact that they're not able to get the right funding to expand, to grow, to produce what I call it export grade quality material. And the ministry is saying that this fund will be established. I think they were projecting about 600 million US dollars, which would be made available. However, I really think that yes, it's a good thing, a good move that they're creating some kind of support for these people who have actually been at the forefront of keeping Nigeria's reputation sterling. Okay, unlike other sectors. However, this has been done before during the Goodluck Jonathan administration, where about $200 million was earmarked and kept in Nexim. And literally, it was separated into those who were into the arts and film. It was separated into those who had to do something with infrastructure, and it was separated into those who wanted to do something for training. However, many of the practitioners were not able to access this fund. So literally, for like 2 or 3 administrations after the Goodluck administration, that 200 million was still sitting pretty in a bank. So the question here is, you're telling us that 600 million US dollars is coming our way. Will it get to us, or will it be another audio promise like the student loan as yet, which was promised on the onset of this administration, that which no one up till date has been able to access? So I think the ministry needs to go further in breaking down how this money will be accessed, doing a lot of stakeholder sessions with most of these creative practitioners so that they understand what they need to do to be able to get it out there. I must congratulate the our youth who are part of the creative economy. A lot of them have, yes, as they say, they put their blood, sweat, and tears, and they've bootstrapped. They've used their own funding and support from people they know to get to where they are. So it's about time that government um, jumps on the train and does the needful without putting them through more stress. They've gone through more than enough stress already, and we will see them, take this country into
All right,
where it should
let's
be.
look at some of the messages coming through. This one is from Oluwaseyi. Oluwaseyi says this same government has created numerous committees for irrelevant issues in the last few months for purposes best known to them. Nothing concrete is going to come out of the bits and parts that they're going to selectively implement from the Orosai report. Joseph Menu says, I stand corrected now. What does merging ministries do? Okay, let them do the right thing, cut down cost of governance, avoid all sorts of jamborees in the name of looking for investors. Pastor Dakwa says Nigerians are not stupid and holistically implementing the Orosai reports would actually cut costs and reduce government waste. These people should be conscious of the fact that people are aware of the games being played. Gilbert says, aside the Orosai report, government needs to cut spending from legislators of the national and state assemblies. Also, like Devoe said, implementation of findings from committee reports is key. AB says it would have been nice to hear the Orosai report being implemented before we hired the largest number of ministers in Nigeria's history. We're out of time, can't take all the messages, but thank you so much for listening. And special thanks to our analysts as well, Devoe and Lakunle, for being with us this morning. And that is it for Freshly Pressed. Stay with us. There's a lot more to come on the Smooth Breakfast.
Yeah.